All right, guys, and welcome into a little bit of a different look for uh for this week's Fourth and One podcast. This is a little snippet we like to call catching up with Coach. Technically, it is episode one, even though we have done these every single week leading up to each game week. It's just something that I do. So, in fact, to kind of show you a little bit about maybe what this looks like, it's really just voice memos on my phone, and I'll send them out to people here, not only just friends, family, whatever the case may be, um, and just see what everybody has to say. Things as I see it, um, something that I'm really passionate about. As far as not only just college football and the landscape that we see, but also too. I'm sorry, I'm obviously not a cat who's doing everything it can be to be ag, um, but anyway, so this is obviously something that I do every single week in looking at college football and the landscape that I see it in. And so with that, there's obviously a couple of different things that have to happen. One is that I actually have to have the time to do it. So usually it's on my way to work. Obviously, as you guys know, that I'm in sales, so it's kind of here, there, and everywhere. I could be in the car. I could be in a parking lot somewhere. It just depends. I could be in my storage unit, whatever the case may be. But I do get these out every week. But this is actually the first time we're going to come live to you guys with it. So we're going to set you guys up. If everybody can hear me, okay? Give me a thumbs up. But anyway, so I think the most important thing to I guess discuss, especially with a week like this, where you don't really have anything demonstratively crazy happening. Like obviously LSU, Alabama, obviously Georgia, Missouri. Obviously we have actually a whole slate of games, but it's not other than like the Michigan cheating scandal. It seems as though everybody else is just kind of status quo right now. I mean, you've got an Ole Miss A&M game that nobody even wants to talk about. You've got, Florida State and Pitt. Florida State's a three touchdown, road favorite. You got the Battle at Bedlam, which might be my favorite game of the day. I have absolutely no issue at all if you want to go ahead and take the fight in Kentucky waterfalls, or the mullets, some might say. And we've got Washington, USC, Oregon State, Colorado. There's UCLA, Arizona. I mean, Iowa State, Kansas, rather. There's games to be had on the schedule, but yet the only thing that people can talk about nowadays is the Jim Harbaugh cheating scandal, and I'm so over it. Honest to God, I'm so over it. So just a couple of things as I see fit. We're just going to go from a 10,000-foot view, kind of narrow it down to the games itself. I'm not going to give you out any spreads. We're going to 100% lead that up to X. I'll give you a couple leans and where I'm thinking, and leave it up to the case on that side. The one thing that I'll say with this week, guys, is that we had to kind of get back to the basics a little bit as far as like how we're going to do, this. And what that means necessarily, or rather what that doesn't necessarily mean, is that we're going to do, something dramatically different. So Russo and I obviously have a very, very different time schedule as far as like when we're able to talk, the days. And so we've always landed on Thursday. Sometimes we pivot to Friday. This is just one of those weeks where it didn't work out. So I really, really do appreciate everybody's patience. I really do appreciate everybody being understanding of that. So we kind of did two separate episodes this week to kind of give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtains of, what exactly we see and how we see fit. In fact, last night Russo had a Break the Chalk episode, kind of a throwback to the original show that we had, years ago back when we were both in school. But look, this is something extremely, extremely important to me, something that I look forward to every single week. And if, you or your loved ones or whoever it is that follows, knows anything about, me personally, that I feel very, very strongly about getting content out the right way and getting real good feedback. So if anybody could ever, truthfully get into the game of doing something that you love the way that I love to do this kind of thing, you'd understand. So I really do appreciate good and bad feedback. Really, really, I do. And as always, if you can give us, just a like, maybe just a little ding on the notification bell, that'd be awesome. But we're just going to talk about the games as I see it. Dude, this cat is okay. I'm obviously at my significant other's house. She is definitely got a little bit different aesthetic of a room than I've got. So we won't talk about it. It's different. So look, we're just going to talk about the games that you are most likely going to be watching. I mean, we could talk about Notre Dame, Clemson. Notre Dame is only a 3-point favorite on the road at Clemson. Clemson's 4-4, guys. To be completely candid with you, I'm off Dabo. I mean, at the beginning of the year, Russo and I went back and forth on who was going to win the ACC, and I told you Florida State. I mean, do I look smart yet? Like, I certainly didn't know it would look like this, but to be honest, I kind of thought that we would have this game again at the end of the year, and it doesn't really map that that's going to happen that way, because it seems kind of like Clemson's wheels are falling off. Dabo's fighting with the fans. He's fighting with the media. Media's coming to him. Media's coming to the fans. Fans coming to the media. I mean, it's a dumpster fire right now as far as like the back and forth. The guy can coach. He does have a problem though with not evolving to the transfer portal. I think that's going to be ultimately what is his demise. And if anybody still thinks that he's going to be the head coach at Alabama someday, it's not going to happen. Not the head coach anyway. Do you want to talk about Ohio State Rutgers? Because I like Ohio State in points. I mean, I don't really. There's nothing overly dramatic about that line. I mean, 18.5 is kind of steep. I would have maybe put it at about maybe 13 or 14, just given the fact that you've got Ohio State in that slow roll on offense. I mean, they can beat this team by 4 touchdowns if they wanted to. But are they? But I do like 3 though. 20 is a good number with the hook. Oh no, we'll see. I'm not gonna put that as a lock, but I do like Ohio State and the points. I love Kansas State in the points too, by the way, on the road at DK. The reason for that is because Texas has looked anemic, I think is the best word I can use, in the last couple of weeks, and for absolutely no reason other than the fact that I think that they are playing the we're actually here moment. I think Oklahoma kind of blew the wind out of their sails a little bit and took the wind out. I think that, it's 10 o'clock at night. I find that Oklahoma really, really did take the wind out of their sails a little bit. And the reason for that is because I think Texas, as soon as they beat Alabama, they thought we're done. Like, we're coasting. Nobody else is going to beat us. And Alabama is the best team that we're going to play all year. We'll see about that. And that's not even getting talked about. Like, when they do game day tomorrow, count. Set your watch on who's going to get the longest run. TV time is going to demand that they have their certain segments or whatever, but just watch how many side comments they have. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I don't hate Ole Miss in the points. I'll tell you why. They're the kind of team that needs to win everything great. Like, you can't just win it some. You can't win it close. You have to win it emphatically. There's the old adage of this is the look ahead spot. This is the perfect storm for Texas A&M to go on the road and beat Ole Miss. No, it's not. This Texas A&M offense is absolutely horrible. They've got playmakers all over. I think Anaya Smith is top 3 receivers in the SEC. I would take Anaya Smith over most people in the SEC outside of Malik Neighbors and Luther Burden. He's that special. He is what he does in space there should be a memoir written about what that guy can do in space. And the fact that you just have this Ferrari parked in under a trailer park garage is ridiculous. This Jimbo won't let go of the offense, and it's disgusting. And I'm so over it. Like, I'm over the excuses. I'm over the Velcro hat. I'm over everything about this Jimbo offense. If you would let go and just let your 5 stars work, and let the coordinators do their jobs, we're talking about A&M up there with Alabama's and the LSU's and the Georgias with like something to play for at the end of this damn thing. Like that is what A&M could be, and he refuses to let go. He is Clemson this year. This year, like, call it what it is. And so, sorry. And so what I think is going to happen is that you're ultimately going to see Texas A&M playing with their back against the wall. And I don't think this is the kind of offense that you can take. Now, their defensive front seven is something special. Their defensive front seven's got bodies on bodies on bodies. They just roll them out there. Something that I did see. This is something that we actually shared. A buddy of mine were watching the SEC championship game last year, LSU and Georgia, and Georgia had a third down. And it was a second drive, and it was third down. And they're on defense. LSU's on offense, obviously. And so when you watched 4 go out and 4 come in, and the whole line looked the exact same as the one that just came on back on the field, it's like it's like the Alabama days when you had 5 stars and NFL players like sitting on the bench drinking Gatorade and having smelling salts, like waiting to play. That is what it felt like. And that's a little bit what it feels like right now with A&M and that defensive front. That's what they look like. And it's – could they beat Ole Miss? Yes. Could they play keep away? Yes. Could they get a turnover and keep it? Yes. But this Ole Miss offense is so nice. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired. That was weird. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired. I do like Ole Miss, though. I have a hard time seeing A&M going in there and beating them. Utah and Arizona State, I actually don't have a play on that game. Kind of looked at this game, maybe if we were going to get that key number, maybe 8.5. I thought maybe we would get lucky. It would be closer to a touchdown, and I would have taken Utah at the crib because they don't get beat at home, except apparently recently. I don't mind you wanting to play that game if you maybe want to shave that down to a 9. I wouldn't really mind that at all, and that's not a Trey's play. Army and Air Force, shout out to our vets. Shout out to the men and women that obviously serve our country. So obviously we're always going to stop and take a peek at that, since it is technically a ranked matchup, as Air Force is number 25, guys. We saw Army play LSU. I think Air Force can 100% beat them by the key number. 17.5, though, is pretty big. If you want to lay your game and just throw your camo on and put some money up on the board, I would take the under. The game that I do want to talk about, though, really quick, is I am going to give a couple minutes on Missouri, Georgia. Let me tell you why. We said earlier in the year that we were going to fade Georgia as home favorites because they were playing teams that just didn't matter. They were playing teams that they really didn't give too much of a care about, and because of that, they were literally covering on the road and not covering at home. And they were having these big, huge, like 27 and 34-point spreads and shit, and they just weren't covering it. And so the reason why we were doing that at the beginning of the year is because they were not paying attention to those games. And Kirby will never tell you that. He'll say it's little old Georgia, and we're not. No, you didn't care, so you didn't perform. We get it. We understand you're a Porsche at a PT Cruiser race. We get it. You can win. No matter how you want to do it, you can win any kind of way you want. Pick your way. Like Shaq in the post, you finna get it how you want to get it. I don't think that plays, though, because you've gotten Georgia now 2 straight weeks in a row. You've gotten their full attention with Florida. You've gotten their full attention with teams that have a shot, and you're just kind of like you're waiting, like you're waiting to see who is it gonna be. Like, is this going to be the Georgia team that stands up and stands 10 toes, poised in the pocket, and puts balls downfield? Or is it going to be the Georgia team that, like, plays with their food? Like, what is it really going to be? I won't play this game. I have absolutely no interest at all in taking 15.5. If it would have been 13, I would have 100% taken it 2 touchdowns. But the hook, and that's begging and screaming for a Luther Burden getting loose at the end cover. Like, I have very, very little interest in taking 15.5, but I do think that Georgia could come out and wax them. I'm not telling you that Missouri's not for real, because they are. Missouri's offense is for real. Their defense leaves, again, much to be desired, but that offense is for real. So shout out to Coach Trey, 7-1. Jesus Christ, who thought we'd be talking about Missouri being 7-1? Nobody said that we thought they'd be bad because we respect Missouri on this channel. But 7-1, how about it? Oklahoma State will not have a play on this game, I don't think, unless that comes down. The reason for that is because I have very, very little faith in Oklahoma right now at this point. They've been throwing up stinkers as far as covering for us, quite frankly. And so I'm just not going to go with anything that's a red light to me. I'm going with green lights only, all gas, no brakes. And I, to be honest, there's a really, really close friend of mine that's an Oklahoma State fan who would hate to hear me say this, but I will always fade Gundy on the road when I have to. But when he's at home, though, I like the mullet at home a little bit. So 6 points is tempting. It's tempting. Penn State, Maryland, snoozer. I'm really, really disappointed in the committee for not giving a little bit more credence to the fact that this Penn State offense has done a lot less than we thought. Ohio State as well. I was pretty disappointed in that. They have the body of work. I get it. And it's not going to matter in the end because obviously rankings do not matter. And I do not watch that show. I do not buy into that bull crap. It is a waste of a TV time. But for the sake of the show and obviously for the sake of the side profession that we have, I had to go ahead and tune in to see at least what the rankings are going to look like. I didn't love Ohio State getting ranked number 1 because they're clearly not the best team right now, but they are the most deserving. And because that's what we do until the end. At the end of the year, it's who's the best, not the most deserving. And I don't know how you keep them out of number 1 based on that. Hello, Dad. It was good, T. Washington and USC. Let me tell you something. If you ever wanted to pick a time to fade Michael Penix in this Washington team, this is the time to do it. I don't love USC. I don't think they can find their way to stop a paper bag from getting blown in the wind. I think they are hopelessly embarrassing on defense, but that offense can score on just about anybody. Look for this to be a high scoring. I don't even know. What is the over in this game? What is the over? Can I guess? I'll go 72. 77.5. Oh my God. Okay. Don't go over. They could easily do that, but 77 is a lot of points. I don't mind you taking USC in the points if you really, really want to, but I've watched this Washington team way too many times to think that they're going to give this game up. So last but certainly not least, you already know me. I'm going to ride with Oregon State. I don't think they covered 12.5, but I do like Oregon State on the road to Colorado. I think that coach is about had his fill with the offensive line. And I think he's at the point now where he's starting to kind of like see the writing on the wall with the season and maybe just try to start, intelligently playing who needs to play and who doesn't need to play. But the game that we all want to talk about, and we're going to take a few minutes to do this one here, get the old back cracked. We're going to talk about Alabama and LSU. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Jaden Daniels? Do you want to start with this is his Heisman moment? Do you want to start with, you're looking at a guy that could quite literally be the poster child for, and there he is.
What's up, dude?
And there he is. So I was just about to talk about the LSU Alabama game.
You haven't talked about it through 19 minutes? What is this?
I'm ending it. I'm ending it with it. So
Go on. I'm here.
This is my last bit. So, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with, Jaden Daniels? Do you want to start with that being his Heisman moment? Can LSU do what they wanted to do last year, which is run the table with 2 losses and cause chaos for everybody? I do not think that they control their own destiny. The reason for that is because they need help from everybody else. You can only win the games that are on your schedule, and I certainly understand that. And everybody thinks that no matter what, the SEC championship winner is going to get into the college football playoff. we've never seen a 2-loss team make it in, and we've also seen a playoff without the SEC, winner in it. So I think, I'm not, and again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, because even if you do win, you still have to go home and beat Florida. You still have to beat A&M at home. Obviously, Georgia Southern or Georgia State, whatever it is that you have at the crib, but then you've got Georgia waiting in the wings for you that is most likely going to be waiting for somebody with a pulse on offense to play. I feel, and I said this earlier in the week, Roos, this is the kind of game that if you truthfully be honest with yourself and take, the skates out of it, if you stop taking what's cute out of it and you look at this game at 1,000-foot view, you're going to tell me that LSU is going to start true freshmen or first-year cornerbacks at the DB spot. You've got injuries. You just found out this week that Mekhi Wingo is likely out for the season. He says he'll be back for the playoffs, quote speak, but word on the street is that injury is going to set him back at least 6 weeks. And so what I'm trying to say is that LSU's got injuries in the areas that they really couldn't afford to have injuries in. And I don't think that's, any slight to them. I think that the defense has been playing better. I think that what I'm trying to say is that I think Milrow's better than we're giving him credit. And the last thing I want to say the last thing I'm going to say before I give you your time here is the worst thing that you can do as an LSU fan or an Alabama fan is think that LSU is going to lose the game based on what you saw against Florida State, because this is the most comparable game, Alabama to Florida State. The defenses by the numbers are within 20 yards of each other on the totals for everything that they do. One's ranked in the teens, one ranks in the low 20s. This is as close to what you're going to get. But you forget LSU's winning at halftime and they stall out in the red zone twice. You forget LSU has 3 wide open. You have a slip and fall to interception, a wide open seam over the middle, and you have an absolute dime drop in the bucket tutty that you just drop. You drop all of those. The offense showed up. Jaden Daniels threw for 340 in that game. So stop thinking that you were boat raced. I'm not telling you Alabama's going to go beat LSU by 4 touchdowns. In fact, I'd be shocked if that happened. But if you wanted to tell me that Alabama could make you stop once more than you think, and this defense won't get a stop, I'll believe that. And so for that reason, I'm more inclined to treat this game the way that we treated Ole Miss and take player props and take added things that we know need to happen in order for either team to win, more so than I'm interested in taking a spread or taking a total, which, by the way, at 60, I'm down to take the over if you want to take the over, by the way. Because if you want my honest opinion, and this is the last thing I'll say, if LSU's to win, Jaden better throw for 330 and run for 100, and LSU better score 40. Because I don't think 30 is enough, and I don't think 35 is enough. And I don't even know if Alabama's offense has had to need to get in the track meet, but they could do it on this defense. From what I've seen, now they could have easily put some wrinkles and some seams and something different the last couple of weeks, but from what I've seen, this screams like we're going to keep us in it and then let you down at the end kind of game. And so for that reason, I think I do like the Tide a little bit for that, and obviously that can change with game flow, but I think this is going to be a player prop kind of game for us. So I'm not going to have a prediction on the spread.
That's interesting. I don't know. I figured we should, by the end of this, get some kind of prediction for you. Okay. I spoke a little bit about. I spoke my entire Little Break the Chalk episode yesterday about this game. So what I'll say is this, to kind of summarize. This comes down to the 2 quarterbacks and how they perform compared to their expectations, right? I think Jaden Daniels is on a completely different level than Milrow. So when I say that, it doesn't mean that Milrow has to go out and throw for 300 and 3 touchdowns with a 75% completion rating and rush for 70 yards. He just has to have a good game compared to his expectations, to his average. Same with Jaden. Jaden's going to have to do above what he's been putting out this entire year. It's going to need more than what he did against Florida State. I personally think that Florida State's one of the best teams in the country, and I think that first game of the season, in my opinion, is an anomaly. Just as far as LSU is concerned. So both these teams are ready. Sure, true freshmen will be starting in positions that are important, but let's remember that LSU's got some of the top athletes in the recruiting classes that they get every year. All these young guys, they aren't the bottom of the barrel guys. These are 4 and 5 star athletes. Who the hell knows? One of them could be a Patrick Pearson like player. One of them could be an elite NFL prospect early on, and we just don't know it. So this comes back. I think this completely comes down to quarterback play. I have no expectation on what the hell is going to happen in the run game. I'm working on my parlay. I like every single receiver. Burton, Bond, Neighbors, Thomas. It
Right.
really, I think, comes down to where you want to where you want to put them at. Like, do you want to put them at 20 yards below their like Brian Thomas, for example? You want him to get 50? 50 sounds like a pretty easy number, but it's going to be a little juicy. Do you want to give him at 70? So it comes down to the logistics of that. I think all 4 some receivers will do well. It comes down to the touchdowns, who we pick. That's where it comes down to every freaking game. We just happen to get it right on that Ole Miss game. So I feel like this one's going to be tricky. I picked Jaden Daniels to score an anytime touchdown. I only do that because I don't want to get burned by Brian Kelly putting in Josh Williams or Josh Emery on the goal line. Not saying that's going to happen. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And we know that. And I feel like this game, whoever has the hot hand will stay in for the most of the game. It's probably going to be Diggs. He's a work back. He's a work running back, but yeah, we're going to have that play out tonight. I'm working on it. I'm really interested. And it's like a science. This game's going to be like a science because there's going to be points. This is the perfect kind of same game parlays place here. And by the way, you mentioned 60. LSU is 8-0 this year on their overs. So probably let's dub it down, take some points off, shed some points off of that, and maybe let's take like a 54.5 or something like that. It's probably what we'll do. I think this game comes down to a 1 or 2 possession game at most. So that's my last little summary. Back to you.
I mean, yeah, man. I completely agree on a lot of fronts, and I guess, and obviously, like the fandom in you comes out, and that you're trying to jinx it in the other way, right? Like you're trying to give yourself reasons to believe that the other team is going to win, so that you can be optimistically surprised. But
well, I mean, it just depends. Like so we have 2 comparable games, right? We have Bama, Texas, and LSU, Florida, both relatively early on in the game, in the seasons. I mean, did Milroe perform well against Texas? I thought he did. Is Texas defense better than LSU? Yeah. Is Florida State's defense better than Texas? Yeah. So, I mean, we have comparable opponents. I think one's better than the other, and I think they both were impressive against said defenses. Both came up in losses. So, I think they're both going to shine, but it comes down to which one does better, in my opinion. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but.
And honestly, I kind of want to pivot on that, because you already know that we watched Tennessee Bama, like we watched LSU Florida State. I was there. Like the problem that I get with assuming that Bama can't keep up is that we still have the South Florida Bama game in our heads. Like we're not giving the credence to Bama getting better. Like we're not giving them the credit that they deserve, because we're trying to remember the fact that they just weren't good at the beginning of the year, which is fair. But let me tell you this. I literally watched Arkansas give Bama a run. Like I watched them do it. I watched Arkansas come out and give Bama all they wanted. And what did they do? Kept it close. And they didn't They didn't cover. They didn't do anything that they said they were going to do. They didn't come out and score, and boat race anybody. They didn't do any of that shit. And what I think that you're forgetting sometimes, and I don't mean like you as in like you. I mean just like you in general. We watched Ole Miss beating Bama at half. Bama goes in. Nick coaches them hard. And what did they do other than come back, win, and cover? You watch them down with A&M, come back, win, and cover. You recently watched them with Tennessee losing at half, go come back, win, and cover. I am seeing a team go into half and come out differently. They trail in almost every. We've seen them trail 3 times, and come back and cover. And even if the cover's 6 points for us, so Jesus, like we still have to, what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at. Now, granted, we're saying all of these things. Dude, it doesn't make a hill of beans if Jaden Daniels is running it up your donkey and throwing it down the field. And it also doesn't make a hill of beans if Jalen Milrow is throwing for 75-yard bombs to Isaiah Bond down the field. So someone's going to have to guard someone, and someone's going to have to decide who's going to have a set of balls and make a stop. And whoever creates the most stops or scores off the turnover, I think is going to win. I don't think it's a who has the ball last thing. I think it's a who's going to take advantage of the other's mess ups. And because of that, I've seen Alabama do that in the second half, find a way to mix and match things, disguise a couple of things, come out with a different viewpoint, win and cover. I'm not telling you Alabama's going to cover. Hell, I'm not even telling you they're going to win. I'm just saying that's the way that I lean right now. And if you made me pick today, I would pick them. Because I just don't know. I just don't know how they don't go with those DBs early and often. If you're Nick,
That's a good point about their first half starting.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, so I'll talk on the point you made about how a lot of people look at the South Florida game.
yeah.
So they struggled basically against every opponent in the first half. That's correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've gone to a bunch of halves. They struggle with it. Auburn's an interesting game to look at because we also played them around the same time, and we had two completely different outcomes. So, it literally just comes down to the matchups. And in my opinion, I am okay with these true freshmen coming in.
Okay.
I'm different. I think it's not going to be the same as Ole Miss. It can't be any worse. Literally can't be any
Literally
worse.
can't be. It can't be.
So I'm okay with true freshmen in those spots. We've had a week off. They've had a week off. I'm taking. I'm not betting it, but I think this comes down to an LSU field goal to win the game.
Alabama's got a field goal kicker that doesn't miss.
The
Fine.
first half might be a look.
Okay.
I need to see what that line is. How many points? I mean, I only imagine LSU's probably getting like a point and a half. But ties win, so that's a good point. That's a good
Can't go
point.
broke taking wins, Bo. Can't go broke taking wins.
Yeah. So that's it for me. I just wanted to join and say that.
No. In fact, we can roll it because I think that's kind of like the gist of what I wanted to get out. But as far as obviously the show, guys, like we obviously appreciate you tuning in. A couple of you guys dropping in here for us. We know it's a late Friday night. You've got, obviously everybody's getting ready to start decorating their house, maybe decking the halls, getting ready for some shopping, and maybe buying some stuff off the TikTok shop, whatever it is that you do on your Friday nights. But we appreciate you guys coming here. I can tell you that Russo is. I'll be with him tomorrow doing it, but he's.
I will be drunk tomorrow watching this game. I can't wait to finally just sit down and watch some football without having to go do something for a couple weeks because that's how it's been the last couple weeks.
Right.
Outside of the time we hung out, but I can't wait to finally drink and just sit back and mix. Hopefully, win a bet, man. We're due.
Well, I know.
I've already lost 2 NBA plays tonight by 1, so I'm really hoping we get some good plays and let's maybe free roll into this night game. So that's the plan for tomorrow. So check the Twitter out, guys.
Dropping and tilted in the OG Fort map.
4 dubs today, baby. 4 dubs. We are here. We are here.
I appreciate it though, guys. That's all we've got. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out the X, check out the Twitter, check out our page. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a little thumbs up. Add us to your alerts. Put us up there in the algorithm. We love you. See y'all next time. Peace.
Smell ya.